Welcome to Pivotal People. Today we're going to be speaking to Sanjay Dhrona. Sanjay is the Managing Director of the Close Care Home. Welcome Sanjay, thank you very much for coming to see us today.
Thank you for having me.
Really appreciate it.
Thanks.
Okay, the first thing I want to do is talk about the outstanding.
Ooh.
So not just an outstanding, but in all domains.
Yes.
And twice.
Twice.
Yeah, and that's something that as an ex-care home manager striving for that achievement, not only is that a massive achievement in any care home, but it's a huge care home.
Yes, 90 residents.
Yeah, and it's also got complexities, it's got nursing, it's got dementia.
It's got nursing, dementia, we care for people with the full remit of capacity needs and super complex care. So we've got residents live with acquired brain injuries, we've got younger age adults, which technically is
always
more complicated, and we get permission for everyone because we are registered for 65s mainly. Yeah. But it's a very, very complex place.
So how did you get it?
With lots of bloody hard work. What was really interesting is I had the right people around me. Yeah. Very much so. So this wasn't a one-man band situation. This was very much the perfect storm of the right synergy and energy and the growth, which was the most important. Keeping in mind that we came in 2014 from a full inadequate, 2 warning notices and 2 embargoes.
Amazing.
And we in 2019 was our first full outstanding across the board. And that was, so 5 years we did that, and multiple inspections. Yeah. But we had the right inspector, who the first time round at the inadequates, that inspector and the relationship we had with them was critical to our future success. And even Andrea Sutcliffe, considering she put in the regime that brought us down, which was right at the time. Yeah. It was correct. So there's no nuance of hardship here because the home wasn't being run in the way that it should have. So that acknowledgement is super important. It was with that we were able to grow, and then we had the right people at every stage, and those people left when their time was ready, and then the new people came in and they picked up the baton and moved forward. But the synergy of the team, the values, the culture, the ethics, and the way that we wanted to deliver care as a family, keeping in mind that we're completely independent. Yeah. So we don't have any group. So our joke is that if it doesn't come off of my desk or my manager's desks, it doesn't happen. The problem is my desk has now gotten bigger and bigger and bigger in the sense that more people sit around it. Yeah. So every member of our team has that responsibility for those outstandings because they earned them and they've got to keep them. And they have to help create that best practice that we want to for the sector. Yeah. And
I think this is a really great lesson for those people that we deal with at Fulcrum. I act as NI for NI representative for a lot of our care homes and some of them have struggled. And when you're going through that inadequate period, it's really tough for a provider.
It's heartbreaking. Because
it's not just, it's not just the awful, the heartbreak to our families and the residents that we're caring for, but it's also the financial burden as well, and that having an embargo can really cripple you.
I think it's really evident to see if you look, our accounts are published, so there's no secret and there's no hiding anything, even if you want to. It's very clear that in that time we were dramatically losing money. But you have to reinvest and you have to build up that culture and that story back to your service. Yeah. The problem is, I think so many people go into this sector without understanding what their story is. Yeah. They don't know themselves well enough. They don't know their vision well enough. And they want to wing it in the process, or rely on the place down the road to be your mile marker or your, your measurement stick, really, that mile marker. Now, using your competitor as a mile marker is fine, but I don't think that's the right way forward. I think you have to set your own internal compass and then go on from there. And I think that's the big mistake that I see so often at services that aren't really doing very well. It's because they don't know where they're going. They've not got that map in front of them, or at least a destination in mind.
And I think that's something that CQC very much expect now, that you understand your own goals and you understand your culture and your staff understand, and they're all going in the same direction.
Yes, that's a huge part of it, that same direction attitude. Yeah. So the trick is, so with the SAF for the minute, for just sort of referencing it, the problem is so many care homes aren't, or managers and providers in turn, are holding on to this SAF. The issue is the single assessment framework isn't going anywhere.
No, it's not.
Now, we've had it technically for 2 years. It was published 2 Novembers ago. Yeah. And what has everyone done about it?
I think I've got something like 17 different presentations from when it started 2 years ago that I've been presenting to, well, we as a team have been presenting to banks and to providers and and what has anybody else done about it?
And they're not using it. No. The homes aren't understanding that they have to own that single assessment framework because they're built on those we statements, which came from somewhere else, which the CQC did a bad job of recognising that they had borrowed them from somewhere. But with that, what have they actually done with it? So what we've done is we've taken it out of the manager's office. Specifically. So the SAF lives in our building, and we've retitled those quality statements into a language that we want to use because it suits our values. So we call them prove-its. Prove-its.
Great idea.
So we use our team to prove the single assessment framework. Every week we put the 2 key questions, two key quality statements on the wall, and they're just randomly picked. This one. Yeah. Now we'll put them on the wall and they will stay up for 2 weeks. After the first week, when they've been used in supervisions, discussions, group meetings, whatever, I'll walk around the building and grill the team. I'm like, what's the quality statement this week? Or what's the prove it this week? And they'll say, it's, how do we do this? I'm like, great, how do we do that? So they look for evidence of when they have performed and proved it.
Yeah.
And the next week in the heads of department meeting, that is discussed, and the individual teams might pick up saying, actually, we've got a really great example of where we've done that one example in our building, in our service, and then they write it up. My hope is that when the inspector comes into the building, when they cross that threshold, they are overwhelmed with every single team member who has ever written a quality statement and approve it, and they want to shove it in their face.
I hope so. That's a fantastic idea. I think when we do our mock CQC inspections, our report, rather than just write it out, we look at all of them, we look at all 34.
Yes.
And we actually print the statement underneath each of the questions, so that when the manager that receives our report reads it, they know what, then they can link it with the report. And I think we've seen some light bulb moments there when we've gone through this report with them and said, look, this is the report. Oh, right, that's what that statement.
Totally. And it's kind of interesting because what you might see as regular daily practice, somebody else will see as outstanding, and they'll be able to evidence that. But the best thing is you're taking away the fear of regulation. Regulation isn't scary. We need to go through it. It's absolutely great. Sets a benchmark, sets a bar when done right. Slight comma. Yeah. But the best bit is that you've got a way for your team to own the inspection. Yeah. And this was something I learned from the other directors of the Outstanding Society, is that you own your inspection, the inspector doesn't. So changing that language and that dynamic in your service, they're seeing you. You're not performing for them. So let them watch you and see how fantastic you are. So you change that dynamic, and then you've got that situation where people want to be like, excuse me, can I show you this? I've worked on this. I've done this. This is something that I wrote about my experience with this individual resident. Now, the reason that came about was we were on the Outstanding Society stand, the learning lounge that we do for the care show. And one of the inspectors said to me, she goes, she hates it when they go into a site and suddenly, she said, carers are like cats. Boom.
I know.
Everyone scatters. to every single...
Suddenly Mrs. Bloggs needs a shower.
Everyone's having personal care.
Yes.
Isn't it amazing how many people are having personal care at the same time?
And how many of the CQC inspectors have got this idea that the home's understaffed because they haven't seen anybody?
Precisely.
Surely they know by now what happened.
You've got a rota on the wall which they're going to look at, or that you will have filled in your PIR.
Yeah.
Because you attach 8 weeks or 10 weeks worth of rotas, whatever they will ask for that time. But it's crazy to me that we're facilitating this concept of fear. So let's demystify, let's defascinate, and actually let's make it into a way of, come on, show me your amazing work. So that trick where they're there, and if the team member has written it, it's in my file, absolutely, with all of the evidence that goes with it. But more importantly, we're taking it and then giving that same folder to the teams. So they have access to it should the inspector walk in, or a quality and monitoring visitor, or a CHC assessor.
Yeah.
These are evidences of really good work, so why not celebrate them?
Yeah, I think I've cracked now how you've got it, how you've done it. That's great. Hopefully it's still.
It's going to be the new Fulcrum method very soon.
Absolutely, yes, we might be stealing some of that. So I want to know about you now. So can I take you right back to the beginning? I know where you've ended up.
Yes.
I know how you've, most of the people, all of the people that want to watch this understand that the people we talk to are successful. We need to know their backstory. Would you like to tell us about your childhood, first of all?
So it was amazing.
Yeah.
I grew up in a house that was Indian ethnically, Kenyan because we were part of the diaspora that had moved from India in the early 1900s over to East Africa and then came up here sort of in the mid-70s.
Right.
So that was our family journey. And when my dad got here, he did the really cliche immigrant thing. He slept on floors, worked it out, got a house, we started a business, and that was at a good networking event that he went to. So we had our supermarket first in northwest London.
Okay.
Near Burnt Oak, really now, back then it was quite salubrious, but the Graham Park estate. So we had a big supermarket, which was brilliant. So my dad then decided the supermarket wasn't the thing, so he wanted a hotel, and he had a friend from Kenya selling one. And we bought the first hotel, and then we had a few of those, and he bought the care home in 1989.
89, so
yes.
Very, very early on.
Yes. It was, back in the day, it was owned by Chai Patel.
Oh, really?
Yes. That's who we bought it from.
Yeah.
So we had the care home, and he was like, right, I don't know anything. So we did a joint venture at the time with Bupa and Court Cavendish. It was called then, because I remember Dad looking at the share prices on teletext.
Oh, on teletext, yeah, goodness.
Right? Do you remember? You book holidays on teletext.
Absolutely.
But I remember him watching the share prices on teletext coming around. And then we sold the hotels in 2012. As the family got bigger, people wanted to do their own thing. Yeah. And as a good old Indian family group, we were like, right, let's make this work. So we put the nursing home on the market and the hotels up. And the hotels went first, so we retained the nursing home.
Okay.
And in 2014, as that was all going, I was working in the city. So I had just gotten back from Australia, and by this point I had worked in events and hospitality. So been with the music industry, worked at the Royal Household, done lots of bits and pieces.
Hang on a minute, you worked in the Royal Household?
Yes.
What did you do for the Royal Household?
There was an event for Her Majesty the Queen and the Emir of Qatar in Wales, in Pembrokeshire. Yeah. And everyone was busy doing a particular wedding. So they needed some support from external people, and because it was quite a protocol issue, because it was being paid for by the Emir, but it was being hosted in Wales. So I was part of the team that helped put on that huge production.
What a fantastic experience.
It was.
Did you meet the Queen?
A few times.
Oh, goodness.
Very, very lucky. She was
very lucky.
She was a hoot.
I'm sure.
After that, the company that I had worked for asked me to stay on, and then we did a few music tours for quite a few big bands, Glastonbury, Leeds, Reading, name it, we did it. So we did all of that. After that, then I decided I needed a break, so I went to Australia, had a big break, got back and ended up working in the city for Field Fisher. As they're now called, but they were Field Fisher Waterhouse at the time, and they're a big law firm, or were a biggish law firm at the time, and I worked in their events team. And when I left them in 2015, I was their head of events
Wow.
And that was globally, so we took care of all of the offices. So if there was anything off of paper, that was my job to make it happen. So I did that, had a whale of a time with them, decided I wanted to leave because Dad needed my help because we had the wrong person in the wrong post. And they had brought down the quality of the care that we wanted to deliver. When we did that, I started in April 2015. And the rest is history.
Yeah, so actually I can see how your background has made you an outstanding home, that the events management and hospitality is a massive part of what we do in care homes.
Well, actually. It is, and my premise is that we have to have authentic experiences. Yeah. So much of care is mollified or patronising, and I want to take that patronisation or mollification away and out of it. We don't placate our residents. We say no a lot, but we say no authentically. It's because that might not be possible or that might not be right, but when it is possible, we will absolutely make it happen. So we will take all the risks, we will take all the challenges and facilitate it in a way. So, you know, there was that great experience of, we were one of the first homes to take our residents ice skating. And
skating.
Yes, and well, they're in a wheelchair, they can't go down, can they?
Wow, brilliant.
So why can't you take them on the ice and rush through?
Still get the feeling of the gliding about on the ice. How
totally,
wonderful.
And that cool air as it rushes through. The pictures that we have of residents ice skating is joyous.
Yeah.
Where is the risk? Actually, the biggest risk is in the transport on the way there.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? So we take our residents on boat rides. So we go down to Henley and there's an accessible boat that we hire, but we do lunch on the boat and we do picnics, and the residents pack up their own picnic because it's part of the experience. So there's so many small things that we do, and then we push the boundary with so many others, like the big drag queen event that we had to celebrate the Her Majesty's Jubilee.
Oh wow.
So we thought, how do you celebrate a queen? And to me, it was glaringly obvious with another queen.
Absolutely.
So we had queen for a queen. And then for the coronation, we thought we'll do king for a king.
Yeah.
So we had Elvis.
Oh, wow.
Because he's the king. So we had Elvis come and perform a huge show for that. But we do a big lunch and we do it in a production style. So now my team, I find it a challenge to keep up with them, because now they're trained in what we think quality looks like. The problem is, there's 140 of them and one of me, so they're coming at me with, oh, we want to try this and we want to do that and I'm like, go crazy, do it, try it.
So the future, what's the future like for you and your care home and your family and where is the future going for you?
So one fun bit of the future is going to be in September 2025. I'm getting married.
Oh.
And that's going to be at the care home.
Oh, that's amazing.
Right?
That's just so, and those residents will absolutely love that.
Totally. So our residents, I was talking about this morning from a logical point of view about our expectations of people and how when they're older, what they agree and what their perspective is on life. And actually, again, coming out in the workplace is really interesting. So I have to come out every day because I've got residents that live with dementia and tend to forget.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, what's really fascinating is residents of a certain age really don't care who I wake up with. Does that?
Of course they don't. No.
They're not bothered.
No.
So that expectation is what I've put on them.
Yeah.
That's my lived trauma. That's my lived experience, not theirs.
Yeah.
They've got to a place where they're not bothered and they want to accept everything that comes. So knowing that we've got such an inclusive space in my team, in the people that we care for, and what we identify as their circle of care, knowing how important the care home is to me and Harry and my parents and his parents and everyone that knows us, I couldn't think of a better venue.
Perfect.
The other thing is I couldn't afford a better venue even if I tried. You're never going to find a place that is that stunning on the River Thames with all that land. So we're going to build a big marquee across and all of the residents are invited, plus 300 guests.
Wow.
Plus my my team members. So hopefully
they are all going to enjoy that so much.
They are.
Yeah.
They are. So we've got catering for the guests.
Yeah. And
then our kitchen team, you can't challenge them hard enough. So that day we're going to do a similar menu that's more inclusive for the residents.
Yeah.
For that, so they'll have Indian wedding food, Gujarati.
Wow.
They'll have a Gujarati wedding banquet upstairs at the care home as well.
Doesn't an Indian wedding last for more than one day?
Yeah, we're doing the main day at the
Okay.
nursing home. We're doing the Hindu ceremony, which will be conducted by the only female Hindu priestess in the UK.
Wow.
She's coming to do it. And so we're just hoping that's going to be a lot of fun. Now, there's one particular part of the ceremony that's really special. Right at the beginning, when I arrive, Harry's mum has to welcome me to the ceremony, as is her right and her duty.
Okay.
So she will invite me actually to the wedding.
Yeah.
And as I come, now normally that happens in a really small little archway that's at the end of the aisleway, where the big mandap is, the 4-pillar gazebo that we get married in. That's on the river. But what we're doing is that first ceremony is going to be at the doorway of the close.
Oh, how
So all the residents can watch, they can see, they can be there in their finery. They're going to all be dressed up in whatever they make or want to wear. They're going to decorate the archway that we do that one bit of the ceremony in. And so that's literally at the doorway of the place that I think is home as well.
That's amazing. That'll be wonderful. What a lovely story.
That's a fun little look into the future.
Yes, it is.
But that takes me up to September, and then after that, I don't bloody know.
I'm sure there'll be lots more things going on and lots more adventures to be had.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you very much. I've really enjoyed that. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.